welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, chances are you are a curious, internationally minded person, maybe an expat, maybe a young professional, and you are navigating what is, I think we can agree, one of the most stressful social challenges on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. Dating.
Dating. And you're doing it in English, a language that might not be your first one.
It's a double whammy, really.
Yeah.
You're not just trying to figure out, do I connect with this person?
Right.
You're also managing the linguistic load, that internal translation, and all of the dizzying, often invisible cultural rules of a US or UK first date.
The pressure is just immense.
It is, and that anxiety, it can just mute your personality, right? It makes you feel less charming, less confident than you actually are.
And that is exactly the challenge we're addressing today. We went through a pretty substantial stack of sources, articles, dating guides, a bunch of expert notes, all of them tailored to help intermediate English learners succeed in this very specific situation.
And our mission for this deep dive is very focused. We are skipping the vocabulary tests.
No grammar drills.
No grammar drills. We are providing a practical conversational survival kit. It's designed to just eliminate anxiety in the four most common trip-up scenarios of a first date.
Our sources immediately set this fantastic tone, which I really loved. They acknowledge that the biggest barrier isn't your vocabulary.
It's not, it's your confidence.
It's confidence. The goal is successful interaction.
Yeah.
And all the tips we pulled are focused completely on clarity, cultural fluency, and just strategically reducing that performance pressure.
Yeah, so we're aiming this deep dive squarely at you, the learner, who is trying to date in the modern US or, UK context.
Okay, let's unpack this. We found four critical checkpoints that, if you're prepared for them, can completely change the dynamic of your date. We're going to start with the opener, the safe approach to compliments. How to signal interest without crossing any personal or cultural boundaries.
And then second, we'll dive into the core mechanics of keeping the conversation going with what we're calling the ping-pong rule.
Which is designed to make sure you never face an awkward silence again. I need this myself.
We all do. Then third, the big one. The culturally loaded landmine that makes everyone sweat. Navigating the bill question.
The subtle language of modern financial stuff.
Exactly. And then finally, the critical conclusion. Making a graceful exit.
Clear communication, whether you want that second date or not.
And the through line for all of this, the foundational truth from all of our sources, is that confidence outweighs perfect grammar.
Every single time.
Every time.
So let's jump in with that critical first impression.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's start at the very beginning. You meet your date, you want to acknowledge them, show you're paying attention, and, start a positive rapport.
And compliments are the essential icebreakers. They show admiration.
But man, they are so incredibly easy to get wrong.
Oh, so easy.
What is charming in one culture can just instantly shut down a connection in another.
And this is a really deep cultural difference that can create misunderstanding almost immediately. In US or UK dating, especially on that first date, boundaries are, they're pretty highly guarded.
Right.
So the sources gave us a core non-negotiable rule, and it's really intended to keep you, the learner, safe.
Okay, what is it?
Avoid commenting immediately or overtly on physical body parts or anything that is purely genetics.
So you're not commenting on their, physical composition.
Exactly. You're commenting on their personal presentation.
I see the logic, but let me challenge this a little bit. For someone who's an intermediate English speaker, it is often easiest to say something like, you have beautiful eyes.
Sure.
Or, you have a great smile. Are the sources really suggesting that even these seemingly universal compliments are risky on a first date?
That is a fantastic question because it really gets into the gray area. And yes, they are advising caution. Well, it's about risk management for the learner. While, you have great eyes, might be totally fine later on a first date, the risk is that the person hears an immediate physical assessment.
I see.
They might internalize it as, okay, this person is judging me on my appearance first and foremost.
And for the language learner who might deliver that line with, weird timing or the wrong nonverbal cues, that risk of it being misinterpreted just goes way up.
Exponentially. So the core objection is that you're focusing on something fixed, something they didn't actively choose that morning.
So it bypasses their effort? It
Right.
feels like instant objectification?
Precisely. The dating culture we're talking about really values the individual's choice and their personality.
Okay.
When you comment on physical features right away, you risk reducing them to just the package. You suggest superficiality. The whole goal of the first date is to establish mutual respect and connection based on who they are and the choices they make.
The source gave that really vivid bad example. You have beautiful legs. So if you're using the survival kit, that phrase is basically a giant red flag.
Yeah.
It is overtly physical. It crosses that boundary for an initial interaction.
Absolutely. It's just too personal, too early. The learner needs to understand that this type of comment often feels transactional in this cultural context.
It just screams, I am assessing you physically.
Yes. And you haven't earned the right to make that kind of deep physical observation yet, so you need to shift the focus.
Okay, so let's look at the successful shifts the sources recommend. The first good example was focusing on style.
Yes.
Things like their clothes, their accessories, their overall presentation.
Because style is a conscious decision. They chose those pants, that dress, that watch. When you say, I love your style or that jacket is fantastic, you're complimenting their taste.
Their effort.
Their self-expression. It's personalized, but it's non-physical in its intent, and it respects their agency. It says, I see the positive effort you put into presenting yourself today, and I appreciate your taste.
And that's the compliment that actually fosters connection.
Yeah.
And the beauty of this for the language learners is kind of twofold, right? First, the vocabulary is often simpler. Describing a jacket is easier than describing nuanced physical beauty.
For sure.
And second, it immediately opens up conversational threads. If I compliment someone's jacket, they can talk about where they got it or why they chose it. It's an easy conversational entry point.
That's a critical point. A good compliment should be a conversational lubricant, not a full stop.
So what was the second recommended good example?
The second was focusing on vibe or energy.
Yeah.
Saying something like, you have such a great energy, or I love how you talk about your work.
I like that.
This moves entirely into the realm of personality and interaction. Energy is about how they make you feel, how they interact, how they laugh.
Their dynamism.
It's deeply personal, but it's non-physical. It's basically saying being around you is enjoyable and engaging. And honestly, that's the highest level compliment you can give on a first date.
Because if the energy's bad, nothing else matters.
Nothing. It guarantees that you're interested in their person and their presence.
We should probably also address the nonverbal element here, because that varies so wildly between cultures.
Oh, that's a great point.
In some places, very direct eye contact, close proximity, that signals intense interest. How should you modulate your nonverbal cues when delivering these safe compliments in a US or UK setting?
The cultural advice here is generally one of slight reservations, especially early on. In a lot of US-UK dating contexts, really intense, prolonged eye contact can feel intimidating.
Right.
And close physical proximity, leaning in too much can feel invasive. So when you're giving a compliment on style or energy, just maintain a comfortable, socially standard distance.
And a warm, genuine smile.
A warm smile, keep your tone light and positive. The compliment should feel like a statement of genuine observation, not some intense declaration of lust.
A slight nod, relaxed posture.
Exactly. These nonverbal cues just reinforce that the compliment is respectful and it's focused on their choice, not their body.
So if I'm the learner, I should be looking for things that show effort or positive personality traits. I really like your wash, or you have a fascinating way of explaining your job.
Yes.
These are personalized. They show I was actually listening and observing them as an individual who makes interesting choices. It's a much more effective foundation for the conversation.
It creates a sense of shared intellectual space almost immediately.
And that tone of a thoughtful adult exchange is essential because once you break the ice, you have to keep the conversation moving.
And that's where the conversational mechanics take over. So moving from that smooth icebreaker, we now hit the engine room of the date, sustaining the interaction.
This is where it gets real.
This is tip number 2, the ping-pong rule. And it is the absolute key to avoiding those conversational black holes that we call awkward silences.
I think everyone listening, even native English speakers, has experienced the terror of the conversational ball just dropping.
Oh, for sure.
You ask a question, you get a dead-end answer, and suddenly you are just desperately scanning your brain for a new topic, and you can feel the pressure mounting.
Absolutely. The mechanism of a successful conversation is that it has to be a dynamic back-and-forth exchange.
Right.
The trap for language learners is really understandable. They're under immense cognitive load.
Of course.
So they often prioritize accuracy and brevity, They feel successful if they correctly answer the question you asked, but they fail to extend the invitation for the dialogue to continue.
Our sources illustrate this problem perfectly. If your date asks, "Do you like sushi?" and the response is just, "Yes."
That's it. That's the ball hitting the floor.
It forces the asker to do all the work, to invent the next play. It just signals low engagement, even if you actually love sushi more than anything.
Right. So the successful technique is multi-layered. We call it hitting the ball back. It's a 3-part conversational structure.
Okay, what are the parts?
First, you answer the question directly. Second, you add a layer of personal detail or color. And third, and this is the critical part, you turn the conversation immediately back to the other person.
You invite them to share their own experience.
You do. And this immediately transforms the interaction from an interview into a genuine partnership.
Let's break that down with a slightly more complex example.
Yeah.
Let's go beyond sushi. How about travel? So if the date asks, "Have you traveled much recently?"
Okay. A bad or a closed answer would be, yes, I went to Spain.
Drop. Silence.
Total silence.
Yeah.
Now, a good ping-pong answer follows the structure. Part 1, affirmation. Yes, I did. I went to Spain earlier this year.
Okay.
Part 2, specific detail. I went specifically for the food. I spent 3 days just in San Sebastian learning about tapas. Now, this detail is crucial.
It gives them hooks.
It gives them hooks. Food, San Sebastian, tapas, learning. It shows intellectual effort and personal interest.
And then the critical part 3, the return question.
Yeah.
You hit the ball back across the net.
Right. You say, what about you? Have you been to Spain? Or where's the most interesting place you've traveled to for food?
The magic of this structure is so strategic.
Yeah.
You've proven you understood the question, you've offered engaging personal information, and you've gracefully shifted the performance burden back to them.
Exactly. You are now listening, not talking.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Let's talk about the cognitive benefit for the learner. If you only provide short answers, you're spending 100% of your mental energy on translation and formulation.
Right.
But when you use the ping-pong structure, answer detail, flip that moment when the ball is back on their side, that is your critical processing window.
Exactly. While they're answering, you are simultaneously listening to their English, processing their response, and crucially, preparing your next follow-up question or your next detailed remark.
So the ping-pong rule is a conversational safety net, but it's disguised as charming, genuine curiosity.
It buys you precious time without creating that awkward silence.
I have to interject with a quick story. I remember being on a date years ago, and I was so focused on trying to seem smart and knowledgeable that when my date asked a complicated question about market trends, I gave like a 3-word answer, realized it was too short, and then I just panicked and stared.
Oh, no.
The conversation died. I hadn't prepared the flip. I had only prepared the answer.
Yeah.
So the burden of finding a new topic was all on me, and I choked.
The ping-pong rule is the antidote to that panic. It absolutely is. Furthermore, if you only give short answers, you're just summarizing facts about yourself. You're just data points.
Right.
If you use the ping-pong structure, you ensure a real knowledge exchange, you demonstrate genuine interest, and you prove that you can successfully navigate a dynamic social situation.
You're performing the act of socializing well.
Which is far more attractive than perfect vocabulary.
It also allows the learner some subtle control over the depth of the interaction. If they ask a very complex question you feel like you can't answer, you can quickly answer the core, offer a simple detail, and then just steer the return question back towards something simpler.
Yeah, you manage the exchange to stay within your zone of comfort without them even realizing you're doing the linguistic heavy lifting.
This is strategic engagement at its finest.
It really is. And this competence in sharing and managing the flow, it naturally leads us to the next massive, high-pressure moment that requires both language skill and extreme cultural fluency.
The money question.
And that's our transition to tip number 3, navigating the bill question. This is the moment where unspoken cultural norms carry the heaviest weight.
And confusion can derail the entire memory of the date, no matter how great the conversation was.
Absolutely. Who pays for the date varies so drastically around the world. Getting this wrong in the US or UK can send the signal that your expectations are outdated or, that you're financially dependent.
It's so loaded with implication. For many of our listeners, they might come from cultures where the person who invites, or maybe the man, always pays as a sign of respect or solvency.
Of course.
So offering to split can feel inherently cheap or even insulting in those contexts. We have to stress that the US-UK professional dating context often flips this script completely.
The sources were crystal clear about the concept of going Dutch.
Right.
This means splitting the bill evenly, or sometimes each person just pays for what they consumed. You have to internalize this. This practice is very common now in modern US and UK dating.
It represents equality and mutual independence.
It does.
So why is going Dutch so crucial as a cultural signal?
Because on a first date, especially among young professionals, the goal is often to establish that the encounter was purely mutual, enjoyable, and free of any implied obligation.
I see.
If one person pays, especially if it was a high-cost date, it can subtly introduce a feeling of indebtedness.
Like you owe them something.
Exactly. By splitting, both parties confirm we are financially autonomous, and the connection, or lack thereof, stands purely on its own merits.
And for the learner, showing you understand that shows profound cultural respect for modern independence.
It does. So if the bill arrives, the learner needs to be prepared with the polite, specific language for suggesting this. Hesitation here is the enemy.
You can't be fumbling with your wallet and mumbling uncertain phrases.
No. You need decisiveness.
So what's the phrase?
The smooth, polite phrase is, shall we split the bill?
Shall we split the bill?
Delivering this confidently signals cultural fluency. The use of shall we is inviting and consultative. It's not demanding. It's polite, it's modern, and it immediately opens the door to the most common acceptable resolution.
Let's elaborate on the logistics of splitting, though, because sometimes that's where the actual awkwardness starts.
Okay.
Say one person ordered a single glass of wine and the other ordered 3 courses. Does splitting the bill always mean 50-50?
Not always, and this is where that cultural sensitivity comes in. If the disparity is slight, 50-50 is often the easiest social path. It minimizes awkward accounting.
Right. Who wants to do math on a date?
Nobody. But if one person had an entree and the other only had a soda, it is completely acceptable and often appreciated to suggest, let's just pay for what we had.
Okay.
If you are the learner, the safest, most direct strategy is to open with, shall we split the bill? If the other person feels the need to adjust based on what they ate, they'll bring it up themselves.
So by being prepared to split, you've met the baseline cultural expectation.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But what if you genuinely want to treat the other person? Maybe you invited them to a particularly expensive place, or you just had a wonderful time and you're feeling generous.
Yes.
We need the practical, direct language for insisting on paying.
Right. You need language that states your intention decisively. Phrase number 1 is confident and common. I've got this.
I've got this.
Yeah.
Simple.
It implies ownership of the bill without making a big deal out of it. Phrase number 2, a bit more colloquial, but just as clear. It's on me.
Now, the trick here, especially if the other person is also keen on showing their independence, is what happens when they politely resist. If they say, oh no, let's split, how do you push back gracefully to insist on treating?
You need a short, polite, yet definitive pushback. Something like, honestly, please let me get this. It's been a great evening, and I insisted we try this restaurant.
Okay.
Or even simpler, no, please, next time is on you.
Ooh, that last one is powerful.
It is, because it acknowledges their offer to share the burden, but it politely defers it to the next meeting, keeping the possibility of a second date wide open.
That's brilliant. You're using the bill payment to subtly forward the conversation toward a potential second date.
Exactly. But there's a third critical scenario we have to cover. What if your date insists on treating you?
Right. For many people, accepting a favor or a gift on a first date feels awkward, especially if they're used to paying for themselves.
It can be.
So how do you accept that offer gracefully without sounding like you expected it or without sounding cheap?
You have to communicate gratitude and reciprocity. If they say, don't worry, I've got this one, your ideal response is a 2-part graceful acceptance.
Right.
Part 1, sincere thanks. That is so incredibly kind of you. Thank you. Part 2, an immediate, soft promise of reciprocity, reestablishing your own independence. Next time, the drinks are absolutely on me.
Or I'll get the dessert then.
Yes. This shows respect, appreciation, and that you view the interaction as a balanced social exchange, not charity.
That preparedness just removes the panic. I think the importance of this section really can't be overstated.
I agree.
By having these 3 scripts ready, splitting, treating, and being treated, you remove the one moment of the date that is guaranteed to cause high-stress awkwardness.
And this smooth navigation of the bill, whether you split or treat, it just signals maturity and ease. An awkward ending over the bill can absolutely destroy the positive memory of an otherwise great conversation.
You signal cultural fluency and respect for modern dating dynamics, which leads us right into our final requirement, clarity in the close. We've opened charmingly, we've maintained a captivating flow, and we have navigated the financial hurdle like pros. Now we're at the end.
The home stretch.
Section 4 is all about the importance of making a graceful exit. And crucially, regardless of whether the date was a success or not, you have to end it clearly.
Ambiguity is the enemy here. It really is. When language learners are navigating this, they often fall back on overly polite, vague phrasing.
Like what?
Things like, I hope maybe we can meet sometime soon. It sounds deferential, but it creates immense anxiety for the person hearing it.
Because they don't know what you mean.
They don't. If you truly mean no, you might accidentally promise a second date just because you didn't have the right English phrase for a polite rejection.
So clarity is paramount, especially in a foreign language. The sources gave us 2 distinct exit strategies, and the language needs to perfectly match the intent.
Yes. A positive outcome, which is, yes, I want to see you again. Or a neutral to negative outcome, which is, no, thank you for your time.
Let's start with the positive. If the connection was great and you want to lock in a second interaction, the language needs to convey enjoyment and suggest a concrete future meeting.
Yes, and the phrase should be delivered with genuine warmth.
The phrase provided is excellent for this. I had a great time. We should do this again.
It works because I had a great time is genuine, it's complimentary about the evening.
And we should do this again is a clear, confident statement of forward intent. There's no ambiguity there.
And to deepen this, you can make the suggestion even more concrete, building on that ping-pong strategy. For instance, I had a great time. You mentioned that new Italian spot. We should definitely go there next week.
Right. That moves beyond vague hope and suggests a real commitment to follow up. It's a clear signal for the post-date text or call that's coming.
That level of certainty, even just in the language, is incredibly attractive. It just removes all doubt.
Okay, now for the much harder scenario. If you did not feel a connection, or you simply do not want a second date, but you need to be polite.
Yes, you have to end the interaction without leaving the door open. You have to ensure safety and closure.
The source material gave us the perfect, neutral, definitive closing line for this. The one that manages expectations without being cruel.
And that is, it was nice meeting you. Get home safe.
Let's break down that phrasing, because it is surgically precise in what it does.
It is. It was nice meeting you is a universally polite acknowledgement of the encounter. It doesn't lie about the quality of the connection.
Right. It doesn't say, I had a great time.
It just acknowledges the social fact that you met.
And the second part, get home safe. That is so essential both culturally and practically.
It serves multiple functions. Socially, it's a courteous, expected parting phrase that focuses on their immediate welfare.
And practically, especially in big US or UK cities, it's a common expression that shifts the focus away from future romantic potential and onto just general safety.
Crucially, it contains zero commitment. It doesn't imply, I'll text you or see you soon. It is a clean, polite break.
This is invaluable for the learner. Trying to translate a complex, nuanced rejection often leads to accidental promises. Having this simple script provides clarity without being cruel. It's like a linguistic shield.
And we should briefly touch on the social safety implications of get home safe. In the cultures we're discussing, there is a strong emphasis on personal safety, particularly for women returning home late at night.
For sure.
So by using this phrase, you're aligning yourself with standard, respectful social behavior, regardless of romantic interest. It's a statement of basic human consideration, which is always a positive thing.
The clarity provided by these specific memorized phrases is really the cornerstone of a graceful exit. They respect the time and emotional energy of both people. And for the learner, the simplicity of the language is a genuine gift.
You don't have to search for complex emotional vocabulary.
You just use the right social signal.
We've established that preparation and cultural awareness are the keys. These 4 tips cover everything from the psychological approach to compliments, all the way to the tactical execution of the exit. It's a fully functional survival kit. So let's bring this all together. Let's summarize the core ideas of our survival kit. The learner's success really hinges on showing genuine connection and cultural respect.
Right. First, master the art of the safe compliment. Focus on effort, style, or positive energy things they choose.
And strictly avoid immediate physical commentary.
You compliment the choices they made, not the genetics they were born with.
Second, integrate the ping-pong rule into your conversational strategy. Always provide detail, and always hit the ball back across the net.
This guarantees a balanced dialogue, signals genuine curiosity, and strategically buys you that crucial processing time.
Third, be culturally fluent on the bill question. Internalize that going Dutch is often the polite, modern default in US-UK dating. It signals independence.
Have your clear phrases ready, whether it's "shall we split the bill"
Yeah.
or "that confident, I've got this."
And fourth, ensure you make a clear, graceful exit using definitive language that manages expectations.
Use "we should do this again" only if you mean it, and use the neutral "it was nice meeting you, get home safe" for a polite, clean break.
Clarity is king.
But the most encouraging point, and the one that really overrides everything else we've talked about, is the core lesson from the sources. Don't try to be perfect.
Yes.
Mistakes are going to happen. You mispronounce a word, you might mix up your tenses, or accidentally use an idiom incorrectly. The best, most confident reaction.
Just laugh at it.
Simply laugh at it.
That laughter is a social superpower. It instantly disarms the situation. It shows humility, resilience, authenticity. It turns what could be an embarrassing linguistic blunder into a shared human moment of connection.
That kind of self-ease is profoundly attractive.
It is.
So what does this all mean? The final overarching takeaway that we want you, the learner, to internalize is this: confidence is fundamentally more attractive than perfect grammar.
100%.
If you know these 4 steps and you execute them with certainty, even if you stumble over the words a bit, your date will be far more focused on your great energy than on the precise conjugation of your verbs.
Your willingness to even be there, dating in a language that challenges you, is an act of confidence in itself.
And we talked about embracing mistakes and laughing at them. Let's take that idea one step further as a final provocative thought for you.
Okay.
The person across the table from you is subconsciously assessing your emotional resilience and your expressiveness. You're communicating not just facts about your life, but your character.
Interesting.
So if you are using the ping-pong rule and you make a grammar mistake while describing your trip to San Sebastian, but you immediately laugh it off and apologize quickly with charm, what have you actually communicated?
You've communicated that you're authentic, you're resilient, you're fun, and you're emotionally secure enough not to be derailed by a minor failure. That effort to be expressive, even with errors, communicates vastly more about your great energy, that highly valued, choice-based compliment we talked about, than any flawlessly conjugated verb ever could.
So embrace imperfection. Use your linguistic stumbles as a tool for charm and connection. Explore how actively choosing to be comfortable with your errors can actually accelerate your fluency and make these high-pressure social situations so much easier.
Focus on the flow, focus on the cultural signals, and remember, the deep dive is always here to help you navigate the tricky terrain.
Until next time, be confident and get home safe.